Hey guys, it's your humble host, or Kayla if you prefer. So I'm back with another video. Something was brought to my attention and it was dropped in my Discord tonight. It has to do with one of the Vic accusers, and his story, Neil Kaplan. Now, as I've said before, innocent until proven guilty across the board, doesn't matter who it is. So I've gone through this story, and there are some text messages to back up the story just a bit. So there is some evidence to substantiate this person's claims. So what I'm going to go through is she posted images talking about her story, and just from what I've read, it sounds really freaking bad and it sounds really gross. So we're going to go through it, and she did take some snapshots and things like that. So let me read. I'm going to try to keep this brief. On January 4th and 6th of this year, 2019, I volunteered at an anime convention in the guest relations department. This would be my second year, fourth show, volunteering at this anime convention. I was assigned to be Neil Kaplan's guest handler. As a guest handler, we are to tend to our guests and make sure their con experience is smooth and efficient. Throughout the weekend, I attempted to keep things between us brief and professional. However, during the weekend, Neil Kaplan asked me out to dinner and out for drinks multiple times, and she does have text messages to back that up. She shows at least one request, so let's continue. Sorry, I'm also drinking coffee and water at the same time. I, uncomfortable with the thought of being out alone with any man 30 years older than me, denied his request. Now, later on in the thing, she does talk about, I believe Neil Kaplan is around like 50 years old, so that would make her in her 20s. Denied his request by giving him excuses that I had already had plans or I had a team meeting. I should have told him that it was inappropriate at the time, but I was scared to tarnish the professional relationship we had between us since I would be working with him for 3 days. At one time, I walked Neil back to his hotel after the convention day had ended. I attempted to say goodbye to him in the lobby. He requested that I walk him all the way up to his hotel room. I agreed. I was very uncomfortable and scared that something might happen, but like I said, I was too scared to cause an issue with him. Once we got to his hotel room, I again attempted to say goodbye to him in the hallway. He insisted that I come in reluctantly. I did, which I gotta say was a mistake on her part. If you get like those red flags, and we've talked about this before on the channels, how you can have boundaries are a little bit oversensitive, but in this case, seeing how she was in a sticky situation, I'm not saying she did the smart thing. She even states it wasn't smart, but I was too scared. I honestly, with this situation, just from the sounds of it, I honestly would not know what to do. I mean, I would like back away to the door, say, no, I can't come up, I gotta go, see you in the morning, whatever. So it sounds like a very sticky situation, and I've never been to conventions as a handler. I know nothing of that business, but so like, the give and take. I lost my spot. But too scared to tarnish the professional relationship we had between us since I'll be working with him for 3 days. At one time, I walked Neil back to his hotel room after the convention day had ended. I attempted to say goodbye to him in the lobby. He requested that I walk him all the way up to his hotel room, which, by the way, is inappropriate. I don't care if you're a handler at a con or whatnot, and I'm not like shit talking her, but he should have known better. Just from the story, Neil Kaplan should have known better to try to ask this 20-something woman up to his bedroom. I would have said, no, go up yourself. Keep losing my place. I do apologize. I agreed. I was very uncomfortable and scared that something might happen, but like I said, I was too scared to cause an issue with him. Once we got to his hotel room, I again attempted to say goodbye to him in the hallway. He insisted that I come in. So from the sounds of it, he's not taking the hint. She wants to leave. She wants to say goodbye. She doesn't want anything more to do with him for that night. Reluctantly, I did. Once we got into the hotel room, he began to change into a different shirt since he was having dinner with a family that night, which again, just from the description of the story, is inappropriate. And once again, why I'm covering this is because she does have some evidence to substantiate some of the claims that she has made in this story. And you'll see at the end of this entire thing. which he invited me to. I turned down his request once he had changed, which again, inappropriate. We walked back down to the lobby together, and I said goodbye to him. Then he exited out the front of the hotel to meet his family for dinner. I then went back to the convention's autograph hall to find my friends to let them know what had happened. Yeah, I'd alert someone right away, so she was smart to do that. I did not inform the management at the anime convention anytime during and after the convention, believing that I would not have to deal with this inappropriateness again. Which is, just from the sounds of it, is an innocent mistake on her part. I can see the reasoning. I really can, because it's like, oh, well, it's done. It's over with. I don't have to deal with the creep again, so I'm not going to alert anybody. But at the same time, it's important because he could be doing that to other people or other young women. Let's carry on. Fast forward to last weekend, February 2nd and 3rd, 2018. I'm volunteering for another anime convention in my hometown, and Neil Kaplan is one of our guests. I was not as good as handler for the weekend, so I thought I was in the clear. I was wrong. Neil requested to have me pick him up from his hotel and drive him to the convention grounds. Which, by the way, let me ask this. Where the hell was his handler? Why is he asking someone who's not meant to handle him for that con? So it's creeper vibe. From the start, you're getting a creeper vibe. Dirty old man. And I don't mean that in a good way. I mean that in a very nasty, get the hell away from me way. Neil has my cell phone number from the previous convention. I complied. I went with one of the male volunteers since we'd be picking up another guest at the same hotel. And that was awesome. That was a smart move. As we were sitting in the hotel lobby waiting for Neil and the other guests, I get a text message. Neil had requested for me to come up to his hotel room, no context added, which was a little odd. I would have texted back no. I tell my fellow volunteer that I was uncomfortable. He offered to go in my place. I told him it was all right. Neil wouldn't recognize him, so I bit the bullet and went up. Which, again, she should have sent the guy up. I would have. Was like, yeah, go in my spot, tell him I can't come up. I did tell my fellow volunteer that to keep an eye on his phone just in case I called, which is good. She set up an emergency line. If I call, get your ass up here. That was smart. She shouldn't have gone upstairs to begin with, but I get up to Neil's hotel room and knock on the door. Neil said to give him a minute. He needed to put a shirt on. He then lets me in and continues getting dressed. So we don't really have the details or any specification like what she means by continuing getting dressed. That could be doing his hair. That could be anything. So, but still, seeing how he's already kind of stripped in front of her with pulling off his shirt, and people are like, well, no, that's no big deal. If I got asked to come to a guy's room and he started to undress, and that my husband is like, dude, I'm gonna kick you. Don't do that. Inappropriate, like I said. He asked me to take his luggage down to lobby for him. I asked him if he wanted me to put it in my car. He said no, he wanted me to wait in the lobby with his luggage because he was going to move his car. I then go back to the lobby and meet with my fellow volunteer who asked what happened. I explained, and he asked why would he have you go up to his luggage or have you go up to get his luggage when he would have to go through the lobby anyway to get to his car. I told him I don't know. In regards to continually getting dressed, I want more details on that because there could have been a very good reason as to why he called her up. It already sounds really weird. And I'm more inclined to believe the story because, like I said, there are text messages, which you'll see, of him asking her, like, hey, do you want to join me for a drink? And remember, there's a 30-year span. So, I explained he asked why I already read that. I told him I don't know. After Neil moves his car, we meet up and load into my car. On our way to the convention grounds, which is 5 minutes away from the hotel, Neil complains to me about one of our guests who is under fire for accusations against him. Neil had previously complained to me about said guest at the previous convention at the beginning of the year, so I already knew he hated the guy. He had more of a reason to complain about him because of recent allegations. So I'm going to assume, because if you look at the tag she used, I'm going to assume that he's talking about, or she's talking about Vic here. Neil complained about Vic. And Neil had previously complained to me about said guest at the previous convention at the beginning of the year, so I already knew he hated the guy. So I'm going to assume that's Vic Mañana being referenced. Neil then proceeds to explain to me that he is a great guy because as a man, he has had many chances in his life to sleep with women who, by the way, this part sounds really freaking disgusting, who were not fully aware of what they were agreeing to, but his lack of ego wouldn't allow him to be that guy. So you have somebody, according to the story, and I actually have heard guys brag about this before, hashtag not all, is they will brag about, the scumbags will brag about how many women they slept with, or the phrase is how many notches they've been able to put on their bedpost. And so according to her, is he was bragging about the potential notches he could have added to his bedpost, which, catch the word in here, sleep with women who were not fully aware of what they're agreeing to. Ew. Please note that he is a 50-year-old man, is talking about sex he could have had to a 22-year-old girl. So it's a 28-year to 30-year difference. Yeah, that's a... Oh, yeah, like I said, it is nasty, dirty old man vibe coming from this. I was extremely uncomfortable. I informed my fellow volunteers of the incident as soon as we got to the convention's grounds. So he, according to her story, is bragging, well, I could have done this. So to me, that's passing off as like he wannabe ladies man or whatnot. Again, this is in her story, and the only reason I'm covering this because there is some evidence to back up what she says. Moving on. At this point, none of the management team knew of the inappropriate and uncomfortable incidents between Neil and I. During the convention, I did my best to avoid Neil as much as possible without giving off the idea that there was something awkward between us to any of the attendees. My duties at the particular convention is to attend to all the volunteers and the guest relations team and their guests, so I couldn't avoid him completely, which really sucks. Every so often, Neil would pull me aside to complain about the other guests he hates to me, which I'm going to assume again is Vic. He would also complain about his location in the hall and the music some of the vendors were playing. If I were to describe his behavior during the convention, I would say it was rude, abrasive, unnecessarily negative, and unprofessional. I heard from several of the volunteers that he would nonstop complain about his lack of line as well. I do apologize on behalf of Neil, more times than I could count. Okay, now let me explain the incident that went way too far for me. At the end of the first day of the anime convention, Neil came up to me during cleanup with another volunteer present. He hugs me, which, no. And then after the hugs, puts his hands on my shoulders and lightly shakes me back and forth. So, yeah. I will never forget what he said next. He said to me, I want to snuggle you. It's so wrong, but I want to snuggle you. So, like I said, it's just foot in groin. Goodbye. Yuck, yuck, yuck. He then proceeds to hug me again. Oh, ew. After that, though, I should have reported him to my superiors sooner. I talked to management team at the convention and came clean about everything, including what happened at the previous convention. After that, all the staff and volunteers worked with me to have a little to no interaction with Neil as humanly possible, which is good. And once again, you're going to see some of the evidence she gives. So here's the text message. And for those of you who are not aware, this looks like it's from an iPhone because there was a similar, I don't want to say incident, but there were other screenshots that has to do with Todd Habercorn that I kind of questioned because I looked really freaking weird, but this is from an iPhone. So here's, and for those of you who aren't aware of the colors, I can't tell the colors, the gray is Neil, the blue is Emily. So how was dinner? You were good, I promise. I hope we did well today. Want to come over for a drink? So creepy 50-year-old dude, and I'm sorry because people are like, well, they're being professional. No, even boundaries. That, I'm 30-year difference when you have a 50-year-old trying to have drinks alone with a 22-year-old who is barely first or second year being an official adult, 21. Yeah, no. Inappropriate. I don't care if they're both consenting. I don't give a damn. Boundaries. There are still boundaries in place. Old man creeping. Disgusting. And people think, well, you're reading it too far into that. No, I'm not. Any father, any person with half a brain can see what the hell is going on. No. You know, I would, but I'm so exhausted. I just don't have the energy right now. Sleep well, you've earned it. See you in the lobby at 9:45. Yes, sorry for the late reply. No problem. I hope all is well. I'm on my way to the hotel and pick you up. I'll be down at 10:25-ish. Actually, can you come up to 8:08? Which again, inappropriate. Inappropriate. Now, it would have been different if it was a guy, if it was a male volunteer, but still, even then, because I can see stand outside the door when he's ready, like, hey, come help with my luggage, blah, blah, blah. But even then, it's just different. People think, oh, well, you're being sexist. No, I'm not. There's a difference. There is a difference. So, yeah, no, he sounds like he was creeping on Emily. And I'm not going over with this or misreading this or putting on a tinfoil hat. Nothing like that. I've actually had, and this is way back when, had older guys show interest in me when I was like 18 or so, and their behavior, and my dad got involved, and yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. But so I can understand what she's saying, and I don't expect y'all to believe me. Nothing, it didn't go nowhere because my dad stepped in. Thank God. But yeah, let's continue. Sure. How's your day going? I'm exhausted. How are you? Egad, sorry. LOL, it's okay. It's part of the job. Okay, so she also took screenshots of his tweets. And this is the same guy, Neil Kaplan, who complained about Vic Mañana climbing on his shoulders when he went along with the joke. And yeah, it's that idiot. If someone you liked or loved or admired did you wrong, it's not your fault. It's theirs. Okay, let me touch upon that just a little bit because it can swing both ways. The person can be wrongfully offended due to boundaries, but at the same time, it depends on the action. But I get why she snapshot this, and this is a whole nother can of worms, a whole conversation, but we're going to play out in general. So that, like I said, it's a whole nother can of worms. It can swing both ways. A person could legitimately have done something to offend the other person, and the other person who got offended could have been oversensitive or whatnot. But in this case, yeah, no, creeper vibe, gross. Apparently, the soul crushing lessons to take away from the story are that appearances often matter more than actions, and if you brainwash people enough, you can do practically anything to anyone. I don't know if that's projecting. I don't know what that is, but it's so ironic considering this allegation that's been brought against him, and there's actually some text messages to show. Again, inviting a 22-year-old for drinks by herself when you are a 50-year-old man, I don't give a flying crap if it's, again, a consensual adult. Boundaries. Ugh, gross. Oh yeah, no, and if I had, again, I can relate to the situation, but not as a handler, but like I said, my dad stepped in with some stuff with me. Thank God he did. Because I was stupid. Yeah, no, if I had like a 50-year-old guy and I was 21, 22, kind of step in or kind of do this to me, I'd be like, hey, Dad, hubby, can you help? Because I did know my husband at this time, who was my boyfriend at this time, and there was a small incident that I actually had someone I knew much older than me, their account sent me a very vulgar message, and I got my hubby involved, who's my boyfriend at the time. I alerted an older sister. I alerted my dad. So, and just like, oy vey. So hate me if you wish. This is my, yeah, so he tries to jump on the Vic Mañana stuff too. This is my Me Too story with Vic Mañana, and if me stepping forward helps someone else to do the same, which technically it's not a Me Too movement with him because he's just, anyway, then I feel as though I did some good by putting this out there in the public forum, even though there's a video of you going along with a joke, and I try to play it off and make it a joke. Okay, no, it was an actual joke. It was not you playing it off. You actually went along with the joke. But it was vile and rude. No, just piggybacking on his shoulders, and he went along with it. And if you didn't communicate, that is your own damn fault. And not to say that because Neil Kaplan was not sexually harassed or anything like that by Vic Manana. It was a joke. Both of them were playing into the joke, and now he's just jumping on the train bitching about it. No, garbo. Complete garbo. But he was so popular, so what I was going to do other than let it go, move on, no, you could have freaking stood up and said no. It's like, no, I got back problems. You could have made him an excuse, something. But no, I'm not doing that yet. Why is it embarrassing? Well, the dude presses his junk in the back of my neck. You know, I've seen many guys goof around with each other, roughhouse in public, sit on each other's laps, and they're, again, goofing around. I've been to a convention. I saw how nutty people can be, and communicate. If you have an issue with what somebody's doing and they're joking around but you don't like the joke, tell them. But again, this is you bitching about nothing. I felt violated, and upon further review I realized that instead of a handshake, the dude mounted me. He didn't know me and he mounted me. The vibe in the room was laughter, was playful. If I remember the video correctly, you were telling him to have a seat or something, and he came when he started to joke around and mounted you. So I've seen guys goof around with each other like that before. They're right at each other's back. It just, God, mounted me. Okay, mounted me is a sexual term, which Vic did not do. Mounted is, I don't want to get into it because I don't want YouTube to strike me. This video is not going to be monetized anyway because of what it's covering, but you guys get the idea. So yeah, no, he didn't mount you. He piggybacked you, which you went along with. So why don't I? Because I don't like him enough to waste my energy. He's not going to change. The text is blurred because it is irrelevant to the behaviors involved, and no one needs to try to find this innocent person. It's not about them. It's about Vic using people for his enjoyment. No. Oh my God. Also, all the text is blurred, so there's no context. Which I'm not sure. I guess the text was released that had blurred out images. But yeah, this is why, again, I covered it because I went through it, and people, like I said, this was put in my Discord tonight. And so I went through and they're like, yeah, there's text messages to back up some of the stuff she's saying, which I know because of what's come out, I'm not believing this wholly, but again, yeah, there's some stuff to back up her claim. So it's like, okay, I'll give it a look and I'll cover it. So, and if more comes out, I will blast it and I will cover it again. But yeah, so it's funny how the people accusing Vic, again, innocent across the board, or innocent until proven guilty across the board. It's interesting how the people who are accusing Vic have like their own skeletons in the closet, if you will. It just, irony is a funny thing. But you guys have a good night. I'm going to look a little bit more into this story because Neil Kaplan is an accuser of Vic, of dude. It's like, dude, you weren't sexually assaulted or harassed. Shut up. But anyway, you guys have a good night. What do you guys think about the story? As like I said, there's some evidence to back it up. Let me know your guys' thoughts below. Have a good night.